This is Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan at Rockefeller Center Newsstand Studios, New York City. Joined as usual with John standing behind me. How you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah, everything good?
Yeah, everything's good.
Yeah. Got Joe Hazen rocking the panels over here.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Full house.
Good.
Full house.
Yeah. Up in the upper westity west, we got Quinn holding it down. How you doing?
Hey.
Everything good?
Good.
Yeah. We got Mr. Molecules with us today.
Yes, sir. How's it
Hey,
going?
Jack. How you doing? Where are you today?
Back in L.A.
You love LA. You love it. You happy to be back home?
I do. I am. I'm having a great time back here.
You sound like you're having a great time. You sound freaking
I am.
overjoyed.
My girlfriend's in town, so I'm actually very happy.
The Merlot drinker or a different one? Just messing with you, dude. Just
No.
messing with you, dude.
A good girlfriend.
Oh, snap. And, of course, last but certainly not least, Nastasia the Hammer Lopez. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. You're also over there on the other coast?
No, I'm in Connecticut right
Oh,
now.
you're in Connecticut? All right, good. We're I like us to be East Coast heavy. I like us to weigh down on the East Coast side. So it's good. Nice to have you back. Today's special guest is, of course, the one, the only, the burger scholar, George Motz. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing well.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey. Well, thanks for coming on. Coming on to because you have a re-release of The Great American Burger book, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
it's extended, revised, everything. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We clowned you a little bit last week because my wife was like The Great American Burger book from the guy that wrote what was the other one called Hamburger America?
Hamburger America, yeah.
Which was based on the documentary, I guess, right?
Exactly.
I was like, maybe the guy likes burgers. I'm like, no. No, he does not. But this is the portion of the show where we just shoot the breeze a little bit about anything we've had last week. So if you had anything interesting to eat or any culinary adventures in the past week.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I just went to the, I just did the Friends and Family for Rascioli, the new, that's opening up downtown. He's nodding over there. I see that.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I'm not allowed to talk about that, I don't think, because it was a super, super private, super secret party.
Well, you probably can't say anything about it, but you could say whether you had a good time or not.
I had a great time.
All right. There you go.
Food was fantastic, and the wine was even better. Put it that way. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was last night. Yeah.
Now the chef's mad.
Now,
Hey, the food was good, but the wine better.
I ate so much food. I ate everything. I ate hot dogs. I was in Maine last week eating lobster rolls.
Oh yeah, we were just
just
before you
talking
came on
about
there.
this, yeah.
But you had a hot lobster roll in Maine. Thank Christ.
Yeah.
Thank God. I mean, yeah.
Thank either one. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. You know, I'm a fan of the hot, butter only. First of all, let me just say this: I love mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Like I love.
No, I think mayonnaise is one of the greatest inventions in food.
Yeah,
I'll tell you right now, just
yeah.
off the top.
At my last bar, we had a mayonnaise program where we all different kinds of flavored mayonnaises.
Oh, awesome.
And, you know, we're going to talk about it later, probably ad nauseum, but, like, I'm fine with the Thousand Island likes, but there are many other mayonnaise variants on Earth to make other than just ketchup, mayo, and some chopped up pickles, right?
Exactly, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you can go anywhere with as long as you have a mayo base and you have a mayo base sauce, you're going anywhere, really.
That's right.
Or just mayo.
Because you know what mayo is? Mayo is the oil that you can spread.
Exactly.
I mean, when you go to a fry shop in Belgium, you got like 50 different types of mayo you can
Oh
put
my
on
God.
there.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That Michelin star dude in Ghent,
It's
I forget the dude's
excellent
name, but
fries.
his mayo program is great, and his fries are super on
Super
point.
good.
No one should say that they know about French fries unless they go to Belgium and just eat around at some of the best fry shops there. Because it's kind of like saying you grew up in an area that only used Mr. Coffees to make coffee. You're like, I know everything there is to know about coffee.
I know what it should taste like.
Yeah. I know. What else is there to know? You know what I mean? Like,
That's true. I'm not even a fry guy. I'm a hamburger guy, but I'm definitely not a fry guy. I have not had enough good fries in my life to say that I like fries. Put it that way.
yeah, you know who doesn't like fries?
Who?
Nastasia. Did you?
I'm with her.
Did you used to like them, but you hated them because I liked them so much, Stas, or what?
No, I don't hate them. I just don't like to order them.
There
I
you
don't
go.
see the point.
What about rings?
No.
Do you know what there's a recipe for in this book? Is the basket rings. well, I don't know what you call them. You call them something else. The basket of rings, like they used to get at like old steakhouses, where it's just a little bit of flour, super finely shredded and like fried and like real greasy and piled high.
An onion fried nest, basically.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. It's a great way to use leftover onions. Throw them in some batter. Throw them in not even batter. You just bread or flour them. I think in the book I have it floured into oil. Done.
Yeah, that used to be something that you got more. I feel like that's something that kind of went by the wayside.
Yeah, that's very true. Unfortunately, I think it screwed up a lot of fryers, and you had to have a dedicated fryer just for that in the kitchen, unless you were really selling a lot, like say like the Palm Steakhouse. There's no reason to actually keep those on the menu. I don't think.
Tony Roma's.
Tony Roma's. Oh, that's right.
Do you know I've never been to a Tony Roma's?
I have.
I have not.
They do. They had the frizzled onions. I forgot about.
Where are they in the pantheon of chain kind of steaky, meaty restaurants?
I'm not going to comment on that one.
All right.
Just say I went.
Are they like above a Tad's?
Oh, remember Tad Steaks?
I do.
Are they still around?
I do
They're
not
gone.
believe so. Yeah, I never could go in because over near Times Square, I was like, this is dicey.
No, Tad's was horrible. I mean, they served a purpose, but they were not. I mean, They're
like a giant 1 millimeter thick steak, $2. You're like, what?
that can't be possible.
I don't. Yeah, no. I used to go to Fresca Tortilla next door because their meat, their like beef. They made those fresh flour tortillas. You ever go to a Fresca Tortilla?
No.
Oh my God, they were. I forget the nationality of the people who had it. They were not. They were not of Mexican extraction, but they had worked at a place and kind of got into this kind of fresh flour tortilla machine, and so they had this thing that was churning out fresh flour tortillas. And then they would just make like this like steak mix that went in it, and that was like the lunch for $2 in the 90s. Like I lived in that kind of Times Square-y kind of area. And there was a Tad's right near it, and I was like, no, I'm gonna go to Fresco Tortilla, and always a line, always fast, always delicious.
How about Blarney Stone? Remember the Blarney Stone?
Oh yeah, I never used to go, but yes.
Oh yeah, those are good. Those are good. Just a bunch of boiled meats out in the middle of the room. Fantastic.
Yeah, boiled. Well, we're gonna get into boiled meats a little bit later in the program. So what about you guys? What about on the West Coast? Anything interesting happened in the past week culinarily, either in Vancouver Island or in LA?
For me, not burger related, but I'm cooking my way through the Szechuan cookbook by Fuchsia Dunlap.
We should have her. If she's ever in New York, we should have her on the show. She's a friend of Harold McGee, and her work is just really good.
Oh man, the recipes are good too. We made this this numbing and hot dried beef, which was very complicated but worth it.
It came out well?
Yeah, you like boil it twice and blanch it and deep fry it and then cook it in its own stock from earlier. And it takes forever, but it was damn good.
So when you said cooking your way through, you've now put the song Working My Way Back to You, Babe, in my head. And all I can think is the burning love inside. And that's all I'm going to be able to think of for the entire rest of the show. So thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Quinn, you got anything?
Yeah, we did a little Father's Day celebration, which was an interesting mix of local, fresh seafood and Indian takeout. So we did like a little oyster bar, some stir-fried spot prawns, and then we got salmon becoming gravlax in process.
All right. I like gravlax. Yeah. I'm training Booker to cure his own salmon because, I don't expect him to be rich, and he likes cured salmon. And so the last time I got a side of salmon, he was like, Dad, can you... Because when we cure it, we skin it first because he's not going to be a Russendaughter style slicer, right? And plus, we don't have room in the fridge for a whole side to cure, so we skin it and break it into belly and loin. And he's like, I told him how to skin it and all that, and then I walked away, and I came back, and it was mutilated. But he ate it all anyway. So, look, to butcher a fish... To learn to butcher a fish, you got to butcher a few fish. You know what I'm saying?
You do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, good stuff. What about you, Stas? You got anything from the great state of Connecticut? We're about to go on a Connecticut tear, so. Yeah.
No, nothing cooking wise.
No. Something not cooking wise that you want to share?
I'm getting my wisdom teeth out tomorrow. So
I
guess
my
I have to.
God! I'm so sorry. Are they going to do all? Are they going to do all four or two or what?
Just the bottom.
Okay, listen. Can I listen? They did that to me, and then I waited 15 years to get the other ones out because it was such a freaking nightmare. Oh, well, I shouldn't be telling you this. It's great. It's not a problem. Listen, there's no problem. It's going to be no problem. I told you, we've had this discussion. My teeth are like tiny corkscrews that are like burrowed into my head so that whenever an oral surgeon has to take a tooth out of me, like they have to plant their knee in my face and freaking jerk on it. You know what I mean? And like, there's always blood all over their faces, all over their masks. It's always a nightmare. I'm sure your teeth are not nearly as obstinate as mine, and it'll be fine.
You're going to have a great surgery.
It's going to be great. I think you're getting the good stuff, though, right? You're not. I remember we had this discussion. I was like, don't just get the Novocaine. Have them make you loopy.
I think I'm going semi-under. I don't know.
Yeah. Loopy. All you need is loopy. The IV Valium. You need to not care. You just need to not care. That's the important part. Yeah, I've always cared. And then, like I say, like I have this habit of having the oral surgeon somehow get mad at me that my tooth doesn't want to come out, like I willed it into my freaking head, Anyway.
Well, I just had root canal, and
Jesus!
But it's not just. It's also the smell of and it's also the sound. So there's like a multi-sensory experience when you're at the dentist. Unfortunately, sorry, I didn't mean to harp on that more, but it's true.
So are you, it's like, I have a thing, the sound of that high-pitched thing, and then when the vibrations in your head, when like a drill or something hits you, it's kind of not okay.
Not right? Okay. No, it's not okay. And of course, the doctor always say to me, what are you eating? I'm like, what do you like to know?
Vegetables.
Everything. Literally everything.
Well, you say in the intro, was that you? No. Or is that Zimmerman's thing where he was like, I like vegetables? Do you ever admit to liking vegetables?
Oh, I love vegetables, yeah. Vegetables are a necessary thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Better than the alternative.
What, fruit?
Dying young.
Yeah, well, all right.
My health is important.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a bunch of questions. First of all, let me ask you this little you history. So I remember seeing the original documentary, Hamburger America,
wow.
right? 04, way back in the day, and learned many things that I have not. In fact, can I tell you something? So, like, for those of you that don't know, is that how you got into the burger, or did you do it because you love burgers?
That was it. The film, the OG film, Hamburger America, was the reason that started this whole journey.
Right, because you were working in film and like production, right?
Yeah, I was a union director of photography for many years.
Right. So you're like, I don't know, burgers, interesting American story. Let me research this. Maybe there's something there. Is that what happened?
Basically, I was trying to find a subject for a documentary. And I ended up getting on the road and I've traveled a lot for filming, for shooting TV commercials and films and that sort of thing. And I would go out on the road and say, guys, I'm going to go over here and look at this hamburger spot. Started bringing a camera with me and then recording some of these hamburger moments, interviews, and ended up as Hamburger America, the film.
Huh. Oh, wait, so you didn't get money to go do that? You were doing that on the slide?
On my own, yeah.
Oh, man.
Self-funded.
Were you stealing, like, the sound person's freaking equipment?
We did. I did everything, literally. Because I didn't do the interviews, because I wanted to focus on everything else. So I had friends of mine who were reporters in different towns around America and had them actually conduct the interviews with my questions.
Right, because your voice isn't in it. Your literal voice.
Exactly.
And you have, like, the most amazing radio voice.
Oh, thank you. I knew I wanted to focus on the people who were in the restaurants. That was more important, and mostly just pretty much the owners and people telling burger stories. Because to me, it was equally about people who made the burgers as well as these crazy burgers that were in the film.
Well, if you ever redo it, though, you got to get that gravelly Casey Kasem action going. It's like gravelly Casey Kasem is what I'm hearing. Yeah. It's good.
I was a huge fan. I'm still a huge fan of Errol Morris, and he made a film called Vernon, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's not in the film. It's just everyone telling stories about the weirdo stories about Vernon, Florida. And so I was trying to model the film after that. It's sort of a Vernon, Florida-esque kind of version of Hamburger America.
All right. So then you do this thing, and then you become Hamburger Guy.
I started getting asked my opinion about hamburgers, and people said, well, you know what you're talking about. You made a film about hamburgers. I said, no, I'm a filmmaker. I don't know. So the press, the media turned me into this hamburger expert. They would call me out. Like CNN called us. Oh, we need a hamburger expert. And okay, fine. So I went in and would talk about hamburgers. And then eventually it became a book called Hamburger America, a guidebook to hamburgers in America. That became expanded twice or three times. And then we made a cookbook, made a TV show called Burgerland. It just kept getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, at this point, I can call myself a hamburger expert officially.
Yeah. Well, I actually think so. Also, most people who say they're an expert in something really aren't at all.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I can't.
Yeah.
I pushed back for years.
Yeah.
I know a lot about hamburgers. No, you're an expert. No,
Yeah. Well, let's see. Who else would you ask the question of, though? Once there's no one else that you would ask other than yourself, then you're the expert.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
When you start to Google things about hamburgers, and I come back with my information. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, or when someone gives you some garbage off of Google and you're like, incorrect.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, oh, yeah, I'm the expert in this.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So going back that there is something in that documentary that has stuck with me. So it's almost 20 years old now.
Yeah.
That has stuck with me for the 20 years that mentally I bring up, and it's actually about, it's about one of the places that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Connecticut burgers. There's only one Connecticut burger in this burger book. Shameful.
No,
you only put, well, you mentioned.
There's a bunch.
No, but you in this book you only talk about the steamed cheeseburger from Ted's.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you
sorry,
do
I'm
Louis
confused.
and you do all that stuff.
The guidebook, there's many.
Yeah, of course,
Sorry.
So Louis' Lunch, for those of you that haven't ever heard me go off on it before, is a small, building in New Haven that got moved once, and it used to literally only be open for lunch. Like when I was at Yale, it was only open for lunch. And now it's open till 1 a.m. Although, listen, if any of you go to Louis' Lunch and you think you're going to go there at 1 a.m. and get a burger, you're not. They have run out of meat. They have run out of meat. And I'm like, yo, you make one thing, buy more meat. And it's the same guy. It's the freaking grandson who's there, not apologetic at all. I'm like, I couldn't get here before 12:30.
Sorry.
Yep. Out of meat.
Out of meat. Should have gotten here earlier.
Yeah.
Come in tomorrow.
But he's not open tomorrow.
We're closed tomorrow.
Yeah. He's never open tomorrow.
We're open for an hour and a half tomorrow.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so, and for those of you that don't know, they have these vertical crematoriums that they cook their hamburgers in, and then this weird white vertical toaster, and it's very legit. Do you like their burger?
I actually do. It's a very straightforward, pared down burger. I mean, it's basically a patty melt. Sort of. I mean, it's a version of a
but
patty
they
melt.
no squish. But
There's squish, but there's cheese on there and it's served on bread on
whiz.
toast. Yeah, it's whiz. Yeah. Oh, some version of whiz. I think, yeah.
So you in the book you make a very big distinction between what you call cold packed cheddar and cheese whiz.
Absolutely, yes.
And you are not a cheese whiz man. You are a cold packed cheddar man.
Oh, I love cold packed cheddar.
Yeah.
I mean, but cheese whiz has its place. It does its thing, and it does not do that thing in the Midwest for sure. That's all for cold packed cheddar.
Well,
for sure.
you made me feel bad because sometimes, at home, I bought a thing of cheese whiz once because Dax was like, "We're going to do burgers." I'm like, you know what? I'm going to whiz these, and I had it on the bread, right? Because that's what I figured Louis uses, but I don't know whether they use whiz or whether they use cold pack. I don't know.
Something between maybe, we don't know. I think it's probably closer to the whiz. I think. I mean, if you go to Philadelphia, it's all about the whiz.
You ever done the port wine on it?
No, maybe I did by accident once, but no, I usually stay away from that.
Yeah, the port wine cheese, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know, yeah, of course. That's also, by the way, cold packed cheddar.
Yeah, but you've never used it on a burger, see what?
I use regular, good old Merck's cheddar.
Yeah. Well, can you buy that here in New York?
Yeah, the Merck's.
Yeah.
It's the only place you can actually get it, believe it or not, is Walmart on Long Island in New Jersey.
Huh.
Strange.
Weird.
I don't know why.
Yeah, that's like you can only get a good Rochester hot dogs at Wegmans.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Wegmans. They're from
that area.
They're from out there.
Zweigels.
Yeah.
They're a good hot dog.
Zweigels are a good hot dog.
Yeah. And now John here is a Connecticut man, so he's like, it's got to be Hummel. Although there's a lot of other Connecticut brands of hot dog, my friend.
That's true. I do need to branch out.
So what stuck? So vertical toaster, and they used to have a sign in Louis' Lunch that said, "This is not Burger King. You do not get it your way."
Still there.
Yeah. And good to know. It was on Xerox paper in the 90s. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's the same sheet of Xerox paper.
Yeah.
So both the wife, now the mom, I'm sure long dead because she
unfortunately passed, yes.
Yeah. And the dad, who's the second generation, not the grandfather, said in your film that they have never had... Well, she hasn't had a burger since she married into the family anywhere else. So since 1951, and he in his entirety of his life had never had a burger other than the Louis' Lunch burger. And this is stuck in my head as a weird phenomenon that you get with certain groups of people who don't ever want to taste outside of their own world, even to see what's out there. because they're so resistant to a certain kind of change that it's almost like they'd be polluting their bodies. And it's the direct antithesis of everything that I believe as a cook.
Right.
Right? You know, I mean, our generation and the generations younger than us, we're all taught go eat as much as possible, taste, learn. But you get certain pizza heads, old school pizza heads, not new ones. New pizza heads are all about tasting, right? But old school burger heads, they would rather die than eat somebody else's product. And that one interview stuck with me for 20 years. I think about it still. I'm like, what the hell?
I couldn't believe it. I mean, when I heard it, I thought to myself, that can't be right. But I guess it can be. I think his argument was that he was too busy working to go try other burgers.
Which is a lie, because they used to be closed by noon every freaking day.
And closed for the entire month of August.
Yeah, no time for a burger?
Yeah, no time.
And the wife was like, so, I went to McDonald's, but I had a filet of fish. Sure you did. Sure you did.
She probably did. I believe Lee. It was Leona Lassen was her name. And she had painted on eyebrows.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That used to be a thing.
I know. It's definitely a thing.
Yeah, my grandparents' generation, like, let me shave off and then repaint.
Yeah. All Lee did was work for the company, work for the burger joint. It was amazing. That's all she was so hyper focused all the time.
Yeah.
She said she would bring it's all true. She would bring the kids when they were kids to the restaurant, and they would help out when they were old enough. But when they were little babies, they would just sit in the back. Because she was so dedicated to the place.
Now, do you like the crappy slice of tomato they put on that with the piece of onion and the miscut onion? What about the miscut onion?
Miscut onion I'm okay with, but there's a trick though. If you go there certain times of the day, they'll actually put the onion in the grill and cook it with the burger.
Oh.
But if you go there like lunchtime, they're like, nope, not doing that, sorry. And then just stick it on cold.
Yeah, I've never had it that way. I've always had it's like lopsided cut.
Yeah.
Like the person cutting it like wasn't even looking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like a wedge.
Yeah.
And the terrible quality tomato.
Yeah.
White bread, whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it's good.
Yeah. But it's an American classic somehow, right?
Yeah. It's always diagonal cut across the bread.
Yep.
with the juice coming out of the. It's a relatively thick patty for its weight. It is relatively thick.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's also very lean. There's not a lot of fat in there too.
Yeah.
Which is something I have a little bit of issue with. So all the fat is coming actually from the whiz. It's like,
Hence whiz.
hence the whiz. Yeah.
Hence whiz. All right. So maybe we have people ask us questions. So why don't we get to those before? Because otherwise, I would just sit here and talk to you about Connecticut burgers. You talk about Ted's, which is a great burger place.
Right. I was there last week also.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Driving through. On my way back from getting lobster rolls.
I have a burger tender as you have a burger tender.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you have one?
Of course.
Nice.
Come on.
Sorry.
Freaking amateurs here? You think you're coming on an amateur show?
Yeah, exactly. I guess I was. No, that's great.
I have the new style, though, with the yellow Ultem steaming trays.
Ooh.
So for those of you that don't know what the hell we're talking about, steamed cheeseburgers, I'm okay with the steamed cheeseburger. I love the cheese.
Yeah.
To me, it's the cheese. And so, like, you can buy people, if you don't want to spend the money on the really nice little, like, burger tender steaming contraption, you can buy just the steam containers that are the exact right size for both either the burger or the cheese.
Right. Or you can look at the recipe in the book and do none of that.
And you use ramekins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to get around that.
But your burgers aren't square, though.
Doesn't matter. They could. Well, square is weird to me. I thought that was very strange. You know,
it is strange, but that's part of the Connecticut thing.
Exactly. The bun is round. Why wouldn't you want to have a round burger?
So Connecticut, I think, Connecticut's bringing the Kaiser back because Connecticut Kaiser rolls are better. So you grew up in New York.
Yeah.
We look like we're similar ages.
Right.
And when we were kids, the buttered roll was the I don't have money. I need something to eat. You get from a stand, buttered roll, Kaiser, 100% of the time.
But wait, poppy seed or not?
Depending on the stand, I like poppy seed.
Long Island, where I grew up, 100% poppy seed.
100%
Kaiser.
poppy?
100%, yeah.
But then something happened, and Kaisers got crappy. And then they got stale, they got crappy. I don't know whether people stopped ordering them. And then I stopped ordering because I was like, this is crappy. Like, it's not like the buttered roll used to be.
Yeah.
Because that was the cheap eat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a butter roll. That's all it was.
Yeah.
It cost $1. You could walk into a gas station. You could get it at a gas station for $1.
Yeah. And, later in the day, if you had a little bit extra money from the hot dog place, you didn't get a hot dog. You got the hot beef. Remember the beef sausage, the spicy beef sausage that they used to sell? They were bigger than the hot dog, than the Sabret hot dogs, and they only cost like 10 cents more.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. With the onion goop.
Oh, with the onion goop.
Were you an onion goop? Or, because I don't really like their kraut, but onion goop, I used to love the onion goop.
I like onion goop.
Again, you're not a hot dog guy, so we're not going to be talking about hot dogs. But the Kaiser roll in the past like 10 years, I've been going to these places in Connecticut. And I was like, they have actually legitimately good Kaiser rolls, and I'm like, I think the Kaiser roll needs more of a national resurgence. What are your thoughts on the Kaiser roll?
I agree. I would like to see. So we have something called the breakfast special on Long Island. We're going even on a further tangent, but it involves the poppy seed Kaiser roll, and they're fantastic. There's nothing like a breakfast special. It's nothing more than usually ham or bacon. I like ham, fried egg, and American cheese on a roll with, ready for this one, salt, pepper, ketchup.
All right.
So you ask for ham, egg, cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup. And
you guys
they
say
know
there's
exactly
one thing. Salt, pepper, ketchup.
Ham, egg, cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Speaking of, okay, so Ted's, other steamed cheeseburgers I've had have been bad.
This is a really good point. Yes. There's a reason why, I think. It's because Ted's makes so many of them that it becomes an environmental thing. The more burgers you're making in that burger steaming contraption, the better it becomes. Because there's a lot of airborne grease, a lot of airborne burger grease. If you're only making a few of them, then they're not going to be good. Like if you try to make them at home, they're not as good if you try to make them at home unless you're making like 100 for a party. A party, they just don't taste the same.
And also, they're at zero hold time there, because they're always coming in and out. Like
exactly.
So the cheese is coming in and out, and like you watch, they have a certain amount of rest time before they put the cheese on.
Right.
The steamed cheese fry is a good call. And
I agree. That is a good one. Yeah. Steamed cheese is a very specific thing. And what happens scientifically whenever you melt cheese through steam is very unique. It's not this different kind of heat.
All right, my favorite thing about the steamed cheese is when it's not pourable still, when it becomes taffy. Right? That to me is like the sweet point, but I'm the only one in my family who loves it. So like, I'll do it. Like for about a year, whenever I made hamburgers, I would make normal hamburgers, which in my house is bacon grease fried burgers.
Right. There you go. Nice.
And I know you're a huge fan of tallow.
Yeah.
Do you really think it makes that big of it? I always have bacon grease because I just cook bacon.
Yeah.
But do you think that it actually makes a huge difference to use beef fat as that? Because I happen to now have a bunch.
Yeah, I mean it's the probably the most familiar grease to the burger itself.
Right.
It recognizes what's happening because it's all part of the same family. I think obviously every animal is different when you're cooking. If you want to get in the science of this, but when you're joining beef fat with a hamburger, obviously it's all in the same family. So somehow I have this. I guess maybe it's just in my head. I feel like it works better.
Because in your mind, you're more like a monk. You're like, beef, like that?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
all right.
I was actually at an event once, and we were late to set up, and we'd had these brand new griddles that had not been seasoned yet, and I said, oh, great, this is not going to work. So I just took a bunch of beef and chucked it on this hot griddle, started chopping it up like I was making a chopped cheese, and rendered all the fat onto this thing, and then scraped it all off, gave it to a nearby dog, and I ended up with the perfect seasoned griddle. And I thought to myself, that's what we should all be doing, is seasoning our griddles with the thing we're going to be cooking with.
That's also insanity, though. Cooking the meat and then giving it. I made this chopped cheese. Hey, Fido. You know what I mean?
A lot of happy dogs out of it.
Yeah. Speaking of the chopped cheese, because I'm going to forget otherwise. So, like, that's the thing that didn't exist when we were kids.
Yeah.
That exists now.
Right.
I think that is good. It's not a burger. It's good, though.
It's in the burger family, for sure.
Burgerloid, yeah.
Yeah, Burgerloid, yeah. It's up there.
Yeah.
It's a great experience. But it's a very specific experience to Harlem.
Yeah.
And it really shouldn't go anywhere else. It should, remain
I mean, there's people in Brooklyn and Bronx who would say that theirs is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it still has to be that style of place, right?
Yeah, and I know those guys too. I've become friendly with Haji from Blue Sky. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, that's what I was told is the OG. Yeah.
I have this thing called the Food Film Festival. We actually showed a film about chopped cheese made by director Justin Bolas, and we had Haji come down to the festival and make them. So it was as legitimate as it could possibly be. We weren't trying to make chopped cheese. We had Haji make them.
Yeah, nice. And how were they? Delicious, I'm sure?
They were fantastic.
Yeah. So
for him it was effortless. He's just there chopping, like, yeah, whatever.
So my favorite term in this whole book, if you get nothing else out of this book, stunt burger.
Stunt burgers. Oh.
You're like, but it's like, I don't even know that you ever define it. You're like, this is not a stunt burger. Looks like a stunt burger, is not a stunt burger. You're like, this is a stunt burger being bad. Why don't you tell us what a stunt burger is?
Well, good or bad, depending. If a stunt burger has longevity, if it's been around there's some burgers in this book that have been around for a very long time.
That Australian monstrosity.
Right, exactly. So that has staying power. We know it's been around for a while. We know people actually love it. So therefore, that's a stunt burger that worked, and it's okay to be there. What I was talking about, the stunt burgers I don't like are the ones that are sort of flash in the pan. People are doing literally just for TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah.
And they're jokes.
So
They're
you,
big
so
jokes.
you're, but what about when it's actually a joke, like Aki and his steamed cheese stuff?
So, yeah. No.
Sure.
Yeah, the method makes me crazy when people are just trying to get attention, and especially if it involves the burger. One of my worst, my least favorite ones, the worst one is the mac and cheese burger, because the photo looks amazing because it's this cheesy pile of mac and cheese, and then there's a burger, a juicy, dripping burger underneath. And what you see is your brain says, "Oh, wow!" But you see them separately, mac and cheese, burger. You put them in your mouth, and they go together, and it's a disaster. This should not be happening. Hot pasta should not be in your mouth at the same time you're biting into a juicy burger.
I'm sure Nastasia agrees with you. Do you agree with him, Nastasia?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But I know the guy who invented it, and he said he just did it as a stunt for the restaurant.
Is that where the idea of stunt burger came from? That him saying it was a stunt?
Well, I think they existed before that, but just before that. I mean, this was like the beginning of sort of the Instagram food influencer garbage going on.
So how much do you hate? Like, I stuffed it with foie gras, and then I put gold leaf, and then
Yeah, it's to me, it's usually a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, it's never good. It's never a good thing.
You know what I've never had that got very famous, but people said they actually liked it was the stunt poutine from Pied de Cochon, where it's like foie gras and all that stuff on it. But I don't think it's
that.
I don't think it needs it.
You don't need it. You
know
really
who I
don't
bet
need
you
it.
loves that stuff? The guy behind me, John.
It was very good. I liked it a lot.
Poutine as a dish itself, I mean, does not need to be improved. Usually, that's the thing. I'm sorry. It's just one of those. To me, I'd rather. Also, what happens in the world of burgers, especially for me, I eat a lot of burgers, and for me, I want to make sure that I have. I'm trying and loving and testing daily beaters, I call them, which basically means something you're going to go back and get tomorrow, next week. Some burgers that are stunt burgers that have truffle oils and all this crap in it, you're not going to have it a month from now. You wouldn't even have it once a year. Why would you want to make that burger?
Yeah.
Just for the stunt of it doesn't make any sense to me. I want to make sure I'm experimenting and with I'm cooking, or at least going to visit burgers that are daily beaters, that are classics, that have one or two ingredients that are not huge that you want to eat.
I had my lifetime supply of truffle oil in the late 90s, early aughts, and I don't ever need it again. Somebody like dropped some in my elevator the other day, and I was like,
It's intense.
Yeah. I just don't require it.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
It has its place, but it's a very narrow place, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong in everything.
Definitely
especially
not on my
a
elevator.
burger.
And not on my elevator.
Not on your elevator floor, that's for sure.
Yeah.
At one of the places I worked, they garnished the short rib with white truffle oil, and the expo did it, and he had never tasted it, and I just saw him like drown it on it, and I was like, stop, have you ever tasted this? And he's like, no, and he tastes a little bit, and he's like, oh, wow, I've been doing really bad.
Jeez Louise. You know what I like on a burger? You probably hate fish sauce.
No, okay, on a burger?
It's good.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
You don't have to like it, but it's still good. Oh,
No, fish sauce is umami. I mean, that's it.
yeah. Check this. See, I wanted to get a professional opinion, and you are a professional. So, like in the book, you have a couple of secret sauces that they're like most secret sauces are Thousand Island, but then you bring up other people like with the schnack sauce, and
Yeah.
goop, and all these other things.
Yeah.
So, I like a flavored mayonnaise. It's not flavored with the standard. This is one of my favorites. We use this at existing conditions, but not on burgers because we didn't have a burger. This is like I use Indian oil-based pickles as my secret pow
Ooh.
kerpow.
Wow.
But
This,
yeah.
this is, by the way, is expired, just so you know.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
You're making me taste something that's expired. Hey, this is, let's say, yeah. No, it only expired in 2021. That's fine.
It's fine.
What is it, though?
Tomatoes.
Is it fermented?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So I'm going to try this if I die
It's very
tomorrow.
strong. If you die tomorrow, it's on me. This shit's
Woo.
good, right? Mix that with mayonnaise,
Yeah, okay.
burger.
Is it spicy?
No, like mildly.
No, mildly spicy. That's pretty well. Where's this from?
India.
That's intense. Oh, great. I just had Indian food that was expired 2 years ago.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, John, you've had this before, right?
Yeah, I had my own jar.
Go ahead. Everyone try it.
But don't you think, imagine that with mayonnaise.
That'd be great. Actually, it's intense. Yeah, it's concentrated. I like that. Yeah.
But not goopy.
Not goopy, no.
And it doesn't
No.
loosen the mayonnaise too much.
I'm not a sauce guy.
And I know you said that in the book.
To me, grease is a condiment.
So talk to me about, as not a sauce guy, you put a little section at the end of your book about non-American burgers, some of them heavily sauced. Talk to me about this Turkish burger.
Look, I'm just my job. I'm a steward to history. I'm just trying to get it right. get the if they have crazy ingredients, I'm just people are eating them all the time.
But you've never been there and had it, but you have friends who have, and you've tested this recipe on them, and they say you're getting close to the actual Turkish wet burger.
The Islak burger.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. And I've made that for friends at parties. I've made it for my family. It is a great hamburger experience.
And it's soaked in tomato goop. What is it?
No, it's basically imagine a tomato sauce with way too much garlic in it. That's basically that's you're on the right path basically.
But it's wet. But you still pick it up.
You do pick it up. It's wrapped. It's a street food. You buy it at 1:00 in the morning in Taksim Square in Istanbul. That's where you find it pretty much only. It's that's the only spot where it really is.
You are also not a fan of most burgers that require a knife and fork.
Right. I think that it should be a handheld experience. I mean, the whole point of a hamburger is to be portable. When the hamburger was born in the U.S., because it came to the U.S. as ethnic food from Germany, but it was served on a plate with a knife and a fork. And so at some point, it did make its way to the Midwest, where it became fair food. And the first fair food that was, what we understand, one of the very first fair foods that was portable was the hot dog.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were selling...
St. Louis.
Yeah. Imagine if you were selling this dish that was this famous ethnic dish from Germany, but served on a plate, and all of a sudden you saw a hot dog walk by. You'd say, "Oh, maybe okay, this needs to be portable."
Yeah,
and that's how it happened.
Well, so now's a good time. Quinn said there came in a question. The hamburger used to be small and has gotten bigger, which is something we need to talk about. Quinn, what was the question we got in off the Patreon?
Well, yeah, the question from Rob was wanting George's comment on the origin of the slider, vis-a-vis White Manna versus White Castle, or any sort of similar New Jersey versus Ohio.
Well, that's pretty simple. They're both actually, technically, at one point, they were identical. White Manna and White Castle were identical burgers. The only difference was that White Castle began to innovate. They started changing a lot, and they started moving towards freezing of beef and the standardized buns and all that. And they got away from what really should be a great burger. The difference is that when White Castle started in 1921, there were a lot of copycats. And White Manna is one of those copycats. So if you imagine, White Manna just kept doing the same thing all the way through. So technically, in effect, they are the primary source version of the White Castle slider.
So was White Castle... I haven't had one in like 20 years. Are they? They were, in my recollection, kind of wet and square with little oniony bits on them. Were they always that way?
No. In the beginning, they were like White Manna.
So round.
Yeah, round, small balls,
and griddled, not this weird in-betweener situation.
If you were trying to sell a burger in America 100 years ago, literally 100 years ago, and you didn't put the word white in the name of your burger place, you weren't going to sell burgers.
Because of filth.
Because it was about purity. It was all about. It was a very hamburgers at that point were seen as dirty wage earner food. It wasn't anything that was popular. It wasn't anything. It wasn't something that was seen as clean at all.
Yeah. Proving we've always been bad. So, all right. And also, before I leave Connecticut entirely.
Sure.
Because John and I, before, we were going to get a sandwich for a minute, we're like, we're just going to make this whole show about Connecticut burgers. We're like, it's our show, crap on everyone else. I don't care. I can do this whole show on Connecticut burgers, without blinking. And so the last one, and I'm, not in here, but I want to get your opinion on it. The Shady Glen Bernice cheeseburger.
Yeah, the Bernice special.
Yeah. Do you know how to make one? Because that's the one burger that I have miserably failed at trying to make at home, even a close representation of the Bernice.
So what you're talking about is it has almost like a cheese crown on top.
Yeah, we call it cheese wings in my house.
Cheese wings. You call it wings? It looks like a nun's habit.
Yeah, flying nun for those of you that are right. Yeah. Sally Field,
Sally Fielder, flying nun hat. It's basically the same look. And from what I understand, it's a scientifically developed cheese. We don't know if it's cheddar or American. It could be something between the two. We don't exactly know. But they said that we can't tell you our secrets because it's a secret, obviously. But it's also that the flat top they're cooking on is highly seasoned. And I'm pretty sure it's a black steel flat top. So it's nothing that's too complicated.
And big.
And large. And they have to they put 4 slices of cheese centered on the burger. And obviously all this cheese hangs off. And they curl up the cheese as it's cooking. And it's one of the things. The first thing you learn when you're on the griddle and you're young is to how to make this Bernice special.
Yeah, and it's an exact amount of freakatizing, of bubbling, and then you see them lift it. They hold it for a second, let go, and it sits, and then they're really good at it.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, you don't even know that you can also get the cheese crisps separately as a side.
Just as a side dish.
I know
it's an off-menu item.
He lived there, and there's also they make, I guess, decent ice cream. Although I get my ice cream at UConn,
Yeah, but they
But
also have
Shady
very
Glenn's
good
ice cream is good.
Yeah.
Very good ice cream. Very good ice cream.
And creepy murals. What else do you want out of life?
The mural on the wall is beyond creepy.
Yeah.
This weird, phantasmagorical, dream of burgers and ice creams and
Like
little
yellowish,
elves and
greenish lighting too.
very
like I said,
strange.
yeah,
Like
it's
Yeah.
elves hanging out in trees eating ice cream.
Yeah, and all the people in the place are dressed up in like, 60s, 70s, like Ramada Inn style, like, service uniforms. It's like it is a throwback.
It is definitely a throwback. Yeah, it's lost in time.
So what do you think about it? They also have a very good Kaiser roll. So whatever you think of the burger, their Kaiser was
Right.
on point. Do you like the burger? Do you like the cheese wing?
I think it's a great burger. I wouldn't put it in the top 10, but it's more about the experience. It's a great hamburger experience in my book.
Yeah. So worth if you happen to be near Manchester, I don't know
yeah.
why the heck you would be near Manchester, Connecticut.
Yeah, I don't
but
know
if you
either.
happen to be near Manchester,
It's a drive-through on the way to Boston.
true.
I
It
guess
is
you
right
could
off
take
the
it that way.
highway.
Yeah.
Right off the highway.
Yeah. Get some ice cream or whatever, unless you have time to go to Yukon and go to the dairy store and get the dairy barn, whatever they call it. All right. Fucci writes in. Wait, is this your dad?
Yeah.
Son of a gun. Damn it. You got to hide it, Quinn. Hide it. Anyway, you don't have to hide it. He's allowed to
He's
ask
a
whatever.
patron. He's a patron.
He's allowed to ask whatever questions he wants, man. Regardless, I'm just messing with you. Come on. Question from Mr. Motz. When is a burger not a burger? And we've talked a little bit about that, but when is a burger not a burger?
Well, for starters, a hamburger needs to be defined as chopped beef cooked somehow and served on bread. That's it. That's the definition of a burger. And when you get away from that is when you start to do things like use tuna or turkey. Because a turkey burger
That's
is
the worst.
not a burger.
Don't make turkey burgers.
It's a turkey
Hey,
sandwich, yeah.
Listen, don't do it.
Do I know what I do?
It better not be with turkey burgers because unless you're gonna unless you're gonna low temp those things, unless you're gonna go through all the trouble of low temping it so that it's not an overcooked piece of filth, and then somehow get a nice sear on the outside of it. Like I don't want to hear from a turkey burger. I don't want to hear from a salmon burger. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
I do a poultry burger of chicken hearts, and duck fat trimmings.
Okay, well, a
that sound?
ground poultry can be fine, right?
Yeah.
Like I like a chicken patty sandwich.
But it sounds more like a crab cake to me.
Yeah, that's so. If you're gonna go
No,
salmon,
there's no
just get a
filler.
croquette. Just
There's
get
no
a croquette.
filler.
No well, a good crab cake has very little filler also.
Oh, you just got busted. But I will say, Quinn, that like the average turkey burger isn't just bad; it's a bad idea. You're taking something that needs to be cooked until it is terrible, and then doing that.
You're right. To be absolutely pure about this, hamburgers came from Hamburg, Germany. That's why they're called hamburgers. They didn't come from Shrimpburg
Shrimpburg.
or Turkeyburg.
Yeah.
They came from Hamburg.
And well, so think about this, right? Also, people who make turkey burgers, no offense to you people out there who make turkey burgers, but people who make turkey burgers typically do it for quote unquote health reasons. So they make the compounding error of using breast meat. And the only way to have it not viciously overcooked and yet still get it cooked enough so you're not like, am I going to get poisoned, right? Is to salt it. And then if you salt it so that it keeps the moisture inside, you're going to bind the proteins as you make the patty. And then you have dry turkey meatloaf. Not even a dry turkey burger, dry turkey meatloaf, which it just gets worse and worse and worse. It's just like the more you think about it, the more. Now, ground chicken, there's nothing better than a chicken heart. Like when you go to one of those Brazilian places and you get like skewer after skewer after skewer of chicken heart, I could eat that all day.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? But like, and I will taste your burger if I'm ever there made with the chicken heart and the duck fat. But I'm just saying, turkey burger, I've never had one I liked.
I agree. To me, it just shouldn't be in the same category. It should be in the category of the crab cake or the the shrimp sandwich, whatever those things are called. Shrimp cake, shrimp pies. I don't know.
Shrimp. You know what's good? Seafood salad.
Seafood salad's good, but it's not a burger.
It's definitely not a burger, but it is good.
Oh, George, can you say your burger definition one more time?
Burger definition, very very straightforward. It's chopped beef cooked somehow, served on bread. Period.
Okay.
Well, so you have things in here you don't consider. If it's loose, like that loose meat, not a burger,
But
right?
I do say in the book, though, the loose meat sandwich is in the hamburger family.
Hamburger family.
Well, there's a reason why. You take a bite of the loose meat sandwich, and it has the flavor profile of a hamburger.
See, I don't consider a patty melt a hamburger because I consider it a burgerloid because to me it is so important that it is its own
This
thing.
is true. I think it's still it's much closer to the burger family than the loose meat sandwich.
Oh
I think
yeah. That's not
it's-
yet. Well,
it's-
loose meat sandwich is only loosely a sandwich.
Right, exactly. It's closer to a hamburger.
Right, but the patty melt, which, by the way, you mentioned that in the original edition that you allowed yourself some liberties and you go back, is only rye bread. Like, I like the real question is, how cooked do you like your onions? And then Swiss cheese and
Right.
the hamburger. And like, the question is, how do you like your onions cooked, right? That there is debate, no?
Oh yeah, but there's a lot of different ways to slice and cook an onion for sure. Yeah.
But to me, the patty melt is the marriage of a grilled cheese and a hamburger, and so it is in both families, and it is its own freaking thing. And it's, to me, God's thing. Like,
But
that's
it's also Swiss cheese. It's rye bread. I mean, the flavor profile is very different from an actual hamburger.
and I
Think about
grew
it.
up with them. And I didn't know it was an LA thing until I read in the book. Because my mom grew up, outside of LA. Maybe that's why. Because I grew up with them.
Yeah, so I grew up with something that was called a patty melt by some people. Some people called it a Chester because it was a guy in my hometown named Chester who took a hamburger patty when he was 17 years old and put it in between two pieces of bread with some American cheese and called it Chester, which actually we found out later on was actually the setup from Friendly's. I don't know if you knew that also.
No.
So they don't even call it a patty melt at Friendly's. It's called the setup.
Huh. And they use those weird flower-shaped burgers still at Friendly's?
I don't know.
Friendly's used to use these
That's right.
very odd flower-shaped burgers, but a friend of mine, she lived on my block when I was in high school. She worked at the Friendly's, and she told me that the Fribble is a Friendly's shake. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about the Friendly's Corporation. This was in 1987, people, all right? So the information I'm giving you is way out of date. But they had a carpenter ant infestation in the Fribble machine in my hometown in the 1980s, 1980, whatever it was, 4 or 5. And so, I just stopped going to Friendly's as a result. So I haven't had one of those flower-shaped burger things since then.
Yeah, I haven't probably had a burger there in forever. I've gone there for the Fribble recently, but not for a burger, that's for sure.
I'm sure they've kicked the carpenter ant problem at whatever location you went to.
Good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Good.
Quinn, did we answer this question appropriately for your dad or no?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah? All right. From Justin. Hey, George, what's the... you don't have to answer this, but, we want to know, but you don't have to. Sometimes people hate answering this question. Ready?
What a great preamble.
Yeah. What's the worst burger you've ever encountered?
Ooh. Wow. I've had a lot of bad burgers out there. I don't like to talk about... I don't go negative on burgers ever.
Because you're hurting someone's business, maybe.
I used to do this thing where I would, if I tweet on the way in and I don't tweet on the way out, it wasn't any good.
Wow.
Well, that's one of those. But I don't tweet anymore.
There you go.
That's all changed. But usually I don't really talk about burgers I don't like. People know... Unfortunately, there are a lot of bad burgers out there. And I like to tell people that, if I'm not talking about it, that's the worst review I can give the damn burger. So sorry about that.
Okay, so what makes a burger bad? When you see something, you're like, oh, no, to hell with this. What is it?
You can tell right away when someone gives you a burger and they don't have their heart in it. It's like any other food, but it's especially with a hamburger. Hamburgers are relatively easy to make. It's not much going on there. You've got some ground beef, you've got some bread, you've got maybe some cheese, maybe a topping or two, and that's it, right? This shouldn't be that complicated. But the reality is that you can screw all those elements up pretty quickly. Overcooking beef is a big way to do it. Using the wrong beef. I mean, people a lot of times will use beef that's way too lean, and that makes a dried out, crappy burger.
Man, you're a Chuck fellow.
I like chuck a lot. Yeah, when I cook, I usually 75-25 chuck when I cook. I tell people that if you want to err on the side of,
And not an 80-20, 75-25.
Well, personally, 75-25 is tough to work with sometimes. You have to know what
it shrinks a lot.
You just have to know what you're doing. You're cooking it fast. I mean, it's very important to know that the fat content is flavor. 80-20 is a great place to go. If you take an entire chuck, the two parts of a chuck and throw it into a grinder, you can have basically 80-20, maybe 75-25, depending on how fatty that animal was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I hate? I hate that... I hate that the most places that sell the beef, they assume that if you want good quality beef, you also want it leaner. Mistake.
Right.
Anyway.
That's kind of changing, I think, these days.
I hope so. Wolf writes in, I like how Wolf has only 2 choices and not like 3 or 4 other choices. You must choose between a potato bun or a brioche bun, as my son calls it, brioche.
That's the Italian version.
Yeah. What do you think? So, like,
Oh, yeah,
between
there's no
those
question
two.
about it. Brioche can suck it, as far as I'm concerned. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, brioche is not the right bun for a burger.
Wow.
It's too sweet. Usually it's almost too soft. I mean, it's hard.
Too soft. Come on,
yeah.
man. You like a squishy
need
bun, yeah, so you say.
Well, I'm sorry. It's brioches tend to be a little more aerated.
Too poofy?
Yeah, because, I mean, when I mean, white squishy, I mean, it still has some density to it. Like the potato roll has density to it. It's good. Most white, white bread and white rolls, enriched rolls for hamburgers are great for a burger.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, brioche is too sweet.
Yeah.
It's too poofy.
So you also don't like a Hawaiian?
I don't like Hawaiian, but no.
No, people are using a lot of Hawaiian now for
it's
burgers.
too sweet. It's too sweet. I like Hawaiian rolls for sure.
Right.
I just don't like to put burgers.
So you also
on
you
there.
don't like the move of using the Portuguese sweet roll for a hamburger? I've seen that.
Really?
Move.
No, I think it should. When you take a bite of a burger, there should be the first thing you smell should be a little bit of yeast.
English muffin?
English muffin. Actually, that's a good one. That's a very good. They're very sturdy. And I grew up on the Chester, which was the patty melt version of what we had from from Long Island. But also, I grew up on most of the burgers were served back then on English muffins.
Yeah, I like an English muffin. But so you mentioned that you enjoy and you invoke the Josh Ozersky from the past, who had some very interesting, sometimes wildly incorrect, sometimes maddening opinions about things.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. But a fun guy to hang around with, especially if you were eating meat.
Yeah.
But the toasting the bun is almost always a good idea, you say. But toast one side only, because you don't want the top side. You don't want the side that you're handling toasted, just the meat side toasted. But and in the book you're anti-toaster because you do a lot of griddle and stuff. What about you don't like the bagel setting? I always use bagel setting.
Bagel setting. Isn't it only cooks on one side?
Bagel side
setting?
top only. Yeah. So you like all the new toasters. That's fancy.
Just put the bagel setting on my toaster. That sounds kind of
wow. Now I'm a frou-frou. All of a sudden I'm a frou-frou guy.
I think you'd rather you're already cooking in a pan. Just cook I tell people, if you're going to make a bunch of burgers, toast the buns first in the pan and then cook the burgers in the same pan. It's one piece of equipment.
All right. Also, but I have it all going at the same time in my house anyway. But the other thing is you're like, I can't really taste the seeds. And then you show a picture of a sesame bun with like 2 sesames on it. Like...
Sesame seeds, really. We taste them. It's more of a textural thing, I think, than it is an actual flavor thing.
Like I use a lot of sesame. Oh, speaking of potato, there's a non-Martin. So Homer Murray came on the show a little while back, and he stopped using Martins, and so he's now created. I haven't been out to have it yet. I want to have his.
The new potato roll?
Yeah. He has a made to his spec. I forget what the name of the bakery is, but they do the potato. My only issue with potato rolls is that they go from fully blonde to real brown very quickly. You know what I mean? Like
when you're cooking them?
Yeah, like they brown up quick and they can go over in a toaster on bagel setting. Maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't have that. I just have one setting. It's on.
Yeah. All right. Bruce Blingstein writes in, seems like there were a ton of burger trends in the last 10 years, more so than the 10 years before that. What does the burger look like over the next 10 years?
I believe there's going to be a thinning, put it that way, of all those things happening. There's already pushback against stunt burgers. There's already a pushback even against smash burgers, which I think is ridiculous. Because people think that, I was standing next to a guy talking to his girlfriend the other day, and he was, or whoever she was, and he was saying, the smash burger thing it's a trend, it's a new thing. I want to smack the guy.
Yeah.
He had no sense of history or any pride about the American hamburger and where that may have come from. And we know at this point it's over 100 years old for sure. So we'll see. I do believe that the smash burger trend will fade, but the smash burger itself will stick around. It's been around anyway for a long time.
So I've never had the Oklahoma style onion smash burger that you have. I've had so many people come to me like, have you had George's burger? What I'm like, no.
Do they talk like
I haven't been to. Yeah, they always do. I've never been to wherever Aspen or wherever you were freaking doing them. Like when you first started pushing that crap, because I don't get invited to that anymore.
Crap, what do you mean?
Stuff, good stuff. Come on, man. Or everyone's like, people like food editors are like, have you had it? Have you had it? No. So like,
have brought one, sorry.
I should have it. Honestly, it's that to you. That's the money burger.
Well, to me, the onions are pretty much they are probably the very first condiment. And so to me, I'm not just making this burger because it tastes great, which it does, by the way, but it is a bit of a science experiment based on very few ingredients. There's only 5 ingredients in the burger. It's basically beef, cheese, bun, onion, salt, and that's it. And somehow some weird science, no pepper, some weird science goes on there where the beef fat mixes with the rendered onion juice and some thyme. And there it is. I can hear it. Yeah.
Time, the unit of measure, not time, the spice.
Right, the unit of measure. Yeah, definitely don't put any time in there.
Yeah.
But you put in the time to cook it slowly,
but not thyme.
Not thyme. Yeah. And it cooks at a very very specific pace. It's slow. It's not a fast, not a fast cooker.
Well, a lot of the burgers actually you give timings, and it's interesting. I'm sure they're based on observation of what they're doing, but they're longer than I would expect on a lot of these cases.
It's true. Yeah, a lot of the book is based on method, not on toppings. I like to tell people that this you can buy any burger book out there, and it's going to show you what toppings to put on to make it a Tex-Mex burger or Hawaiian burger. But the reality is that these are all based on historically significant.
Spoiler: George wants you to go out and put pineapple rings on everything. I'm just kidding. I'm just effing with you.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do a couple of method things because we're going to run out of time. I want to rapid fire on some of these other burgers. One, like all people who are thinking people, you in general don't salt until the very end, but you usually only salt one side, even on like a thing. I've always been a 2-salter when I do like a ball. I'll like kind of roll it in salt right before I smash it, but you only do the one side. Do you not like a salty burger? Do you post salt? You don't salt on the flip either, right? So on your onion burger, it's like you salt, smash, salt, onion, flip, right? That's wait.
Close. It's usually I put the ball down, salt the ball.
Right. And the golf ball size of onion.
And then onions on top of that, and then I smash the whole thing together.
Right.
So also what happens is the salt kind of goes around the outside. It ends up in sort of what happens. I make a lot of burgers at a time. Like I'll do an event. I'll make 18 burgers on the griddle at every 10, 15 minutes or so. So what happens is that environment gets
salty.
Right. It's almost like it's like the steamed cheeseburger. I mean, you have to have the environment going to make the best burgers.
And a little bit of the onions from before to get on the next burger.
No, they're all scraped off.
All right.
But the salt from one patty ends up on the other patty, and it all gets mixed up. I think it's just sort of a science experiment that works somehow. So. But I only salt once.
And that's
twice.
A non-toasted bun, that one.
That's exactly right. So I like to call it letting it ride, which is where the burger bun sits on top of the flip patty.
Both of them
on top of each other. Well, it's just so you know where you don't have to lose. You don't lose the bottom somewhere.
Right, but you say it also helps it.
It does help.
It softens up the bottom.
Definitely salt both sides.
Yeah.
The bottom you don't want to have too soft because it'll fall apart. The top you want to have soft for sure because you're not toasting it at all. On my burger, I don't toast it. So there's all that beef steam is rising up and it's being stopped by the bun.
Is that your next band, Beef Steam?
Beef steam, that's
All right. Another thing I find interesting is that you're a fan of the loose bowl scoop for non-compression regions, but then you do it even when you're going to smash the burger. Why? Just more of the monk stuff? More of the this is the way I do?
No, exactly. Maybe it's more of the monk stuff, but it's for portioning. So if I'm making 100 burgers, I want to make sure I've got they're all the same size.
Right. So it doesn't actually, in other words, like I'm not damaging the meat by like hard packing if I'm hard packing into a scoop. If I'm doing hard pack, draw, drop, I'm not messing it up if I'm going to smash it anyway. In your opinion,
define hard.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like
if you're giving it
Josh Ozersky used to like worry the hell about it. He either wanted the burgers so freaking loose that they were basically untenable, or he wanted them smashed till they were dead.
Exactly. But so much has changed in the understanding of how to make a smash burger since then.
Right.
Love Josh. Josh is a good friend of mine. Josh, by the way, he told me, he said, I have your book by my bedside. I read it every night before I go to bed.
Yeah, it's odd. Yeah. I like that.
It's only pictures.
So another question on technique, going back to the salt. Anyway, as we said before, if you salt and if you then mix, you're the devil, right? Obviously, because it turns into meatloaf.
Yeah, it's not good for the meatloaf. Yeah.
But you are very careful about not putting salt onto the last minute for it not getting tough, except teriyaki burgers obviously soaked in salt. So how does that taste?
Okay, the teriyaki burger, which is in the book, I like to tell people it's the most difficult, it's the hardest burger to make in the book because it involves method and it involves making sauces and marinating. It's very difficult. But again, I'm a steward to history. My job is to make sure we get it right.
You think they taste good? They don't taste like meatloaf. They're not tough.
No, they're not tough because they're marinated.
But they're right. Yeah. So my point is that can you salt it beforehand? As long as you don't manipulate. As soon as you manipulate salted meat, it gets Anyway.
Yeah, I just do it because that's the way that they do it.
Well, the Cuban, the burger from Miami with the chorizo spices, interesting. Is that the way they actually do it? They put just the spices, no salt on the inside of the meat? Or were you like, oh, hell no, I'm not putting any salt on the inside? Do they use actual chorizo?
They don't know. They use chorizo spices. So it's paprika and it's garlic.
But no
and that sort of
salt
thing.
and salt on the outside.
I don't know. 'Cause that's I think I did salt on the outside of mine. I'm not sure there's salt in the mix.
There's not.
There's
not. Well, in your
here,
book.
Yeah. I probably tested. It was too much.
All right.
Guess.
Now, people need a trick to not have burgers stick to the spatula when they do the smash. What is the magic? And now onions, I'm sure, help. But
Right.
like, for instance, the fried cheeseburger, is that any good? The grease, the 90-year-old grease burger from Dyer's?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Is it?
Yeah. Actually, it is a great burger. It's a great hamburger experience.
Pounded out and then dropped into deep into grease.
Well, beef tallow.
Grease on grease on grease. Yeah. I don't know how the heck that doesn't stick to their spatula because they don't have parchment like protection or anything like that.
Right.
But like, I use parchment in my house when I smash because I'm terrified of it sticking to my spatula. What do you got for me?
Well, the parchment's great if you have a small pan. You have no place to go. What I'm saying is, if you actually do have a place to go, if you put the spatula on the flat top and you move it around a bit and get it hot, and then smash the burger, because a hot spatula won't stick to the beef.
Oh, because the grease lubricates it?
It's cold on cold.
Ah,
there you go.
So this is a tip. If you've gotten nothing else out of this show, all right, now in the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds, let's go. Oh, by the way, next week we have the Tropical Standard crew on so get your tropical drink questions in. We're not going to have time to make fun of Barberton chicken. I apologize. I'm going to have to ask you these things. Okay. Poached burgers at Pete's, Wisconsin. Now, you have a recipe for this. For those of you who don't know, I'll give you the real quick. It's a big pan of water with a pile of onions in it, and then you're basically you're smashing the burger into the water.
Yeah.
And so it's like part panned but part poached. Good?
Oh, fantastic.
What if you used like French onion soup mix as your poaching base?
You'd probably be too salty, but...
Like, other than the salt, like if you didn't salt it too much, in other words, like,
well, there's lots of salt in onion soup mix.
well, I mean, in other words,
All
what if you made an onion broth? Because like part of the thing about pizza is they're making 1 billion of them a day, so by the time the thing is done, it's onion broth.
Yeah.
And you even say the second, third's going to be better, but what about you pre-make it?
Yeah,
Like, I once drank some hot dog water. Fantastic. Tastes like hot dogs.
Tastes like hot dogs, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why it tastes so great.
Is that one of the burgers to try, though?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great burger.
All right, so you can read about how to make that in the Juicy Lucy. You give some tricks for them not to have the cheese explode in your face.
Yes, it's true. There is some science to that, is that they will explode in your face if you don't poke little holes in the top.
Yeah, toothpick. All right, now, the Goober burger with peanut butter. I now want to try this. It's good, the melted peanut butter.
Oh, yeah, salty goodness.
And then the fluff screamer is hot sauce and a meat-based hot sauce, which is similar to Rochester's quote-unquote hot sauce. It's a hot dogs ground up with spice.
Hot dogs, yeah.
Hot dogs ground up with spice.
Gold country.
With marshmallow fluff on it. What about the combination? Would it work, the Fluffer Nutter Burger? Have you tried it?
It would work. It would be amazing, actually, because the fluff turns off the heat in the hot sauce. The hot sauce alone, the screamer sauce, is very freaking hot.
Also,
the fluff turns it off.
You don't put cheese on a bacon avocado burger? That's like the standard in my house. You hate it? The look on your face, like, it's like... the look on your face.
That's like a tuna milkshake. I don't know about
that. Talk to me a little bit. We have very little time left. Gargiulo's Burger at Brennan and Carr. Is this something that I've never been there? Is it worth getting on the subway and scraping my butt out there?
Oh yeah, they make everything in house. It's all fresh. It's fantastic. I usually get a cup of broth to go.
It's halfway between a French dip and a hamburger.
Basically, yeah.
And it's money?
It's amazing, yeah. Right. Make sure you get the onions.
All right. And last but not least, I think the swine and cheese in Houston. You know, my butcher, who was from Staten Island in the 90s, used to grind bacon into my hamburger meat for me. I'd have him grind it, and he used to do it. That was his special thing.
It works. Yeah.
But in other words, I didn't know that it was I didn't know that there was an uncommon thing.
Yeah, it was a friend of mine on the West Coast is doing it for his burgers. Mark Tripp, he's doing he sells burgers, pop up on the street, and he does a blend of bacon in his beef. It's fantastic.
My butcher always used to be like, I shouldn't really do it because I'm contaminating my grinder, but my hell with it. You know what I mean? Like, he's from Staten Island. Okay, last thing. The slug burger with the breadcrumbs. Do I need to try this? So it's a Mississippi-based.
Oh, yes.
And it's a 4-to-1. I did the math. It's a 4-to-1, 4 beef, 1 breadcrumb. Mix it in. No salt, obviously. Mix it in so the breadcrumbs are all in the meat mix.
Yeah.
But it's not a meatloaf, Lloyd. It's an actual burger.
Well, because you're smashing it thin. It's a thin patty. So what's happening is the grease is soaking up into those breadcrumbs and then crisping up. It is an absolutely perfect hamburger experience.
All right, so that's one to try at home.
Oh, yeah. It's also super easy.
So if you want to make any of these burgers, please go get the Great American Burger Book, expanded and updated edition from George Motz. We're super happy to have you on. I'll answer the rest of you guys' questions about like waffle irons and whatnot next week. Cooking Issues, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.